girlfriend without any top. Hi, throwaway account in case anyone I know finds this. So me, 21, and my girlfriend, 21, are long-distance relationship, about as far you can be, and have been since October. I visited her over Christmas and had a great time. Now, she has told me she feels controlled in our relationship because I set a boundary early on in the relationship, June 2022, started going May 31st, 2022, that I couldn't be in a relationship where the girl was to be naked, top or bottom, around other guys, and I would not be naked around girls. Bottom? No. Top is fine. This is not from a loyalty POV. It's more, I believe our bodies to be special and only to be shared with the person you are in partnership with. I understand her reasoning about it, but it also hurts because I was so clear from the very beginning of the relationship about my personal boundaries. Literally, just don't be naked in front of other guys. And now, in February, having been on several holidays with her, having done long distance, having spent loads of money going to see her, I'm a student, for her to now put me in the position of breaking my boundaries or breaking up with her. Had she said in June that she disagreed with me, then I wouldn't have been with her, as it is something I feel, rightly or wrongly, I am still trying to work that out. I would have said she was a really nice girl, but I wasn't going to change and wouldn't expect her to change, and so would have ended it. Now I love this girl head over heels. Everyone in my life knows about her. Everyone in my life questioned long distance, but I said it would be fine. We planned to move in with each other when she comes home in May, and everyone knows this. Now I feel like if we break up over this A, I will have lost an amazing girl B. I would look stupid to my friends and family. Or alternatively, we stay together, but it goes against my beliefs and the boundaries I set from nearly day one. She told me that she wants to take her top off at the beach and to go skinny dipping with guy friends. I appreciate the free the nip movement, but it's still something I am coming to terms with and am not sure I will ever be comfortable with. But the skinny dipping is a big no for me. She tells me I am being controlling, but from past relationships and from my friends' relationships, it's normal to have boundaries out of respect for each other. I don't want to be controlling, but that's why I established my boundaries early on to avoid a situation like this. Feel free to chuck your 2 cents in. I have no clue what to do. Edit. Turns out to mutual friends she has been lying about the situation. I won't get into all the details because I'm so tired at this point, but it's not looking good. This all comes from visiting her auntie, who cheated on her husband whilst they had a kid, so maybe not a great role model for relationships. And her auntie called me controlling because I was out on a boat with them one day and pulling my girlfriend on board, no ladders, and when she got on it, fixed her bikini strap because it was falling down. Apparently, that is controlling. I was literally just helping make sure she didn't accidentally flash herself, the same thing I would do for any guy mates with trunks if they were getting out the pool, for example. I seriously can't believe that is a reason for why I am apparently controlling. Thankfully, our mutual friends know what I am like and phoned me after she said all this. She a bunch more and asked me a bunch more and asked me about it and listened to me and understand my perspective. One of them is going to talk to her when she wakes up. Fingers crossed something changes. I hate this. Story 2. My wife, 31F, has been gaslighting me for months. And I, 30, knew it. My wife has been gaslighting me. In June of last year, my wife told me a lie. She said she was on her way home after I texted her. Call me when you can. My wife is going on a walk. Her goal was to get 10 steps and she went on a walk because she only had 1.5x. I sent that text at 11:44 a.m. She responded at 11:55 a.m. I'm in a long-distance relationship. I'm telling you this because even though it's 11:44 a.m. to me, it's 8:44 p.m. to her. Earlier that evening, she sent me a link to purchase something, so I went to her contact profile because that's a quick way to look at all links on an iPhone. But right above the links is Find My Phone, but right above the links is Find My Phone location services, if you are sharing. I see that my wife is at a hotel. I instantly feel uneasy. Being around a hotel at 9 at night is not something she's ever done before, but I swallow my insecurity and continue to work. I checked at 12:00 p.m. and remember, that's 9, 0 p.m. for her. 15 extra minutes have passed. I see that she's still at the hotel. Now, I'm feeling extra uneasy. I finally log in to find my iPhone and I see that her phone and watch are at the hotel and both items are fully charged. Remember this, it's key. And I see her MacBook and iPad at her apartment. I take screenshots of both locations to make sure I'm not going crazy. At 12:20 p.m., I texted her, "How many steps you got?" No response. At 12:28 p.m., I notice something funny happening on Find My iPhone. Her items are moving quickly like she is in a car. Oh crap. She is in a car. I call her on speakerphone so I can continue to find my iPhone. 2 rings, then voicemail. And I call again, 2 rings, then a voicemail. And I call again, 3 rings, voicemail. And again, 2 rings, voicemail. Then, no more ringing, only voicemail, only after. I call her from 12:29 p.m. to 12:33 p.m. Her time, 9:29 p.m. to 9:33 p.m. The entire time I call her, I'm watching her phone icon move quickly from the hotel back to her apartment. I'm taking screenshots of the whole thing. At 12:37 p.m., she calls me back while in the apartment and tells me 2 lies, that her phone was dead and she walked all the way home. But remember, on Find My iPhone, it was fully charged. That now leads into the gaslighting. To make this long story less long, I'll make an entire post if you want about what happened after. From that point, June 27, till DC3, I gathered undeniable evidence that everything she told me was a lie. And she admitted to it. Now, you may wonder how she gaslights me. Well, my wife and I discussed what happened that day a lot. I have a 37-min video on my phone of her lying to my face. I had her tell her story about how she got home and everything about it was a lie. He said a 30-min walk took her 10 minutes because she's a fast walker. She said that her neighbor stopped her outside to talk and that's why she didn't answer the phone. Instead of taking the walking path home, she took the driving streets because it seemed faster, etc. I have text messages her of lying and videos of her trying to pivot the conversation to me being too hard on her and being too hard on her and being mean. And she was asking me why I didn't believe her. She tried to make me feel guilty when I didn't want to do certain things because I knew she was lying. She was lying so much that I found other poop I wasn't even looking for that she lied about. I have a YouTube video that I found of her lying about never working out with other men, but I see her on a YouTube video, working out with other men. Like, how do you have a YouTube video with you in it and lie about it? During our engagement, I called her and she picked up the phone at another man's house, and I didn't know that she was there or who the man was. One time during our engagement, she slept at her boss's house to save money because they had to go out of town the next day instead of getting a hotel. And I have a preponderance of evidence I had to accumulate over the past 8 months because I thought I was going crazy, but it comes to finding out my gut is correct. She's a ducking liar. After finding all the undeniable evidence and confronting her, she realized I had caught her in the lie, but I still believe she hasn't told me the full truth. I believe wholeheartedly that my wife cheated. I know with who, but unfortunately, I don't have the evidence for it. So, I made this post because, as a man, no one will talk about the guilt you feel after you have been gaslighted, and you've done nothing to deserve this. But somehow, your spouse makes it seem like it's your fault. Is it my fault I gathered the evidence after you said I was acting crazy? Most of this journey was not about her. It was me trying to reclaim my trust in myself. I feel like my wife has used my mental health against me, and it's hard to empathize with a person who would do that. When I told her I wanted a divorce, I believe that was the first time she realized that her actions have consequences. Over the past 8 months, I tried to create a safe space for her to talk. I tried different tactics that I've read online or from a therapist, and nothing seemed to work. I was constantly being yelled at, disrespected, or lied to. Once I had enough and told her I wanted a divorce, everything about her personality changed. And everything I asked for, she is starting to do now, which is another thing that men don't talk about. It does not make me better that you decide to change all of your habits when you realize we are almost over. Because that means everything I was telling you before and you told me I was wrong becomes valid. That means you heard me and you refused to change. And that, to me, is another form of manipulation. I am losing all feelings I ever had for this woman. It's been 8 long months of getting my sanity back, and since I did it alone, I'm okay with being alone. We just had our year anniversary, so to put it into context, she's been lying to me for more than half of our marriage, and I don't know if I want to deal with a consistent liar for the rest of my life. And I'll leave you with this. 2 years ago, I was medically discharged from the military because I suffered from bipolar disorder. So as I'm trying to navigate this new illness, my wife is gaslighting me. That's something I don't think I'll ever forgive. Story 3. I am 30. Found out my wife, Faf 27, has been having an affair for at least 2 months on Valentine's Day. She has been acting different for a while now. Skittish, attached to her phone. Long gaps between the time she leaves work and the time she gets home. I had a feeling, but she would gaslight me anytime I questioned something strange, as by saying that I was acting like she was up to something and it makes her feel bad. I would then write it off to my overthinking and push forward. This will be over soon, I tell myself. She graduates respiratory therapy school in April. I saw this as the finish line to the weird behavior and attitude. Fast forward to Valentine's Day. I treated her to shopping spree and dinner. Work has been going very well lately, so I've found a new hobby in spoiling her with clothes and shoes. Once we get home, I give her a full-body massage, and she falls asleep. As I was preparing to go to bed, I have the sudden urge to go through her phone. And on Instagram, I find that she has been emotionally and stimuli involved with a coworker in the hospital and in the hospital parking garage. He has been trying to cut it off. She has been chasing him, telling him that she misses him. It shattered me. She was speaking to him like she used to speak to me, using my nicknames, my nicknames, my memes. She said they only had menstruation time once and it lasted 1 minute because it was in a closet and they got nervous. Other times, it was other actions. We have been married for 2 years. Part of me wants to ruin her, report her to her job, have her fired and kicked out of her RT program. Other part of me wants to try to understand and fix it. I love her so much and have centered my everything around her, but I can't stop thinking about it. The messages, the lies, visualizing her getting railed out in a closet. I need guidance. Is being so early in our marriage a sign that she never loved me? Or those that mean that there is plenty of life left to figure this out? Story 4. Spouse probably cheated on me 25 years ago. Does it matter now? About 25 years ago, I was in the military and was on a 2-year assignment a day's drive from where my 38 UIO wife and I lived. We had been married about 20 years at that point, so I only came home on the weekends. After the first year, wife started telling to just stay there and not come home until my assignment finally ended. I refused and continued coming home on the weekends. She started treating me very coldly and not wanting to be intimate on those weekends. Then, after another 3 or 4 months, she started randomly accusing of cheating on her and continued being cold towards me. When my remote assignment ended, I was given orders overseas for 3 years. So I started preparing to rent out our house and move my wife and teenage sons. My wife constantly fought with me about it, saying she did not want to go and that I should go by myself. Also, during this transition, she was still cold and distant. My kids wanted to go, so she finally agreed to go. Once we got to the new location, she started constantly finding fault with everything with me and the location. So after 6 months there, I received permission to move her and my kids back home at the end of the year. The next 6 months was cordial at best. She was still cold, but allowed some intimacy about once a week. As the end of the year drew closer, she became excited about moving back and withdrew from me again. She stayed withdrawn from me for the last month or so. I took 2 weeks leave about a week after she departed with the kids and went back home to help out. After about 3 hours of arriving, she was telling me to just leave and go back to my base. I stayed for about 10 days and returned to my base overseas. I was there for another 2.5 years. I would go home about every 4 months for 10 days and be treated the same way as I was the first time. We would be intimate mate twice in those 10 days, but I got a feeling she was doing it out of a feeling of obligation rather than desire. Also, she acted as if she wasn't really happy I was there and even stated she would like it better if I did not come back home until my time overseas was finished. For that remaining year and a half, she remained cold and distant when I visited and whenever I would call her to see if all was okay. If I mentioned I had went to a cookout or bowling, she would accuse me of cheating and hang up. She would also constantly tell me everything was my fault and was always in her way of doing what she wanted. After I finally got transferred back, the coldness and distance remained. After 6 months back, I moved out. I stayed gone and even told her that if that is the way she was going to be, I wanted a divorce. So she agreed to marriage counseling. We went, but it was mostly a joke. She blamed her coldness and distance on me, not understanding her and what she wanted. So I moved back home and just ignored it from then on. I left the military and got a job that required constant traveling. Now, 25 years later, we are both in our 60s and retired. I have a lot of time on my hands now and time for self-reflection. Hindsight is almost always 20/20. Now I question her actions as I look back and analyze them. Various articles I have read from persons who analyzed cheating spouses. My wife's actions back then fit the pattern given by other cheaters. Even though I don't have the proof or smoking gun, there was plenty of smoke. Over the years since then, some of her friends and previous co-workers have made snide remarks about her possible cheating during get-togethers while the alcohol flowed. I have mentioned it to her a few times. She never denies what they say, but responds questioning their honesty or that they were probably doing themselves. We still have an occasional blowout. A few times I have been so emotionally drained by always being who she lashes out at that I leave for a few hours just to get my composure back. When I come back, I tell her that I will leave if that is what she wants. Then she immediately states that she never cheated on me and has always been faithful. To recap, 25 years ago, my wife exhibited the cheater telltale symptoms listed by many professionals in the marriage counseling field. She pushed her spouse away, became distant, constantly found fault with her spouse, constantly denied cheating, even though never accused of it, and constantly accused her remote spouse of cheating. Also, she constantly worked overtime on the weekends at her company, even though no one else there did except her boss. This occurred for about 3 years. So now to my question or dilemma. We have been married for 45 years now. I am now questioning our entire married years. I can't bury it at the back of my mind anymore. Should I leave this sleeping dog alone? Or should I discuss it all with her and probably tear our marriage apart? Update. A few of her co-workers, also Asian, are still around. They were also her friends. I have to be really careful because they stay in touch on FBI. So I knew a couple of the husbands and will possibly try to talk with them. 2 oldest kids were already out of the house. Youngest lived in the video game world and never paid much attention of her comings and goings. But I will talk with them a little. Update. So I tried to reach out to someone and was very careful in what I said. His wife immediately called my wife asking why we were separated and other B's. Glad I did not actually ask my real questions. So this tells me I can't. So we'll just confront her directly and try to get her to believe I actually know something and not just suspicion. Need to get my physical living accommodations set up here in the US first. Update. Spouse probably cheated on me 25 years ago. Does it matter now? It has been a while since my original post and short update. I might have posted an update after the ones on the original post, so I confronted her. She denied and kept asking who told me. She denied and kept asking who told me. She then just brushed it off as whoever it was must just be jealous of her. Even after I itemized her behavior back then in detail, she just continued to deny. Then started accusing me of not being nice back then and that I hurt her by not trusting her. She also kept wiping non-existent tears. Now, this discussion was over video chat, so there might have been tears. But as soon as I backed off, she just started saying I just had bad communication with her, etc. Since then, I tried to get past it. Took her on a Caribbean cruise, but I just don't have those loving feelings. At this point, I don't wish her any misfortune, but just want to leave her. Now, my oldest son and his family decided to get ancestry DNA tests. Told me the wife and I should. So I did, and I had my youngest do it also. Turns out my oldest son and my youngest son are only half-brothers. The DNA test also shows that my oldest son is not my biological son. My youngest is. I never suspected this, but there was no fidelity. My wife was pregnant for about a month before we met. 2.5 months into our relationship, she told me she was pregnant. I was 19, so I assumed it was mine. I was quite naive and stupid then. So my upbringing and my infatuation convinced me I needed to marry her. So I ended up raising 2 kids that weren't mine. She had a 4-month-old when we met, and one that was... I love the 2 oldest just as much as my youngest. That will never change. I have not told the wife about this yet. I need to discuss it with my oldest son and then all 3 of them. Then I will also inform them that I'm divorcing their mother. The 2 oldest will have to ask her who their biological father, are. I have no clue. Then I will video chat with her and inform her of everything and my intentions to file. I still feel there was at least an EA and possibly a pay 25 to 30 years ago, but I most likely will never know for sure. My decision is really based on the years of the emotional and threatened physical abuse, constant lack of respect for me, and lack of empathy or consideration for anything I needed or wanted. I will post additional updates as significant actions are taken. Redditor's reactions, Redditor 1. All that time wasted. You could have been with someone who respected you whole co-parenting. Sorry, that's really the only thoughts on my kind of. It's crazy you stayed so long, and it's crazy you stayed so long, and it's crazy how pussy whipped her friends' husbands are to narc on you like that. You're already accusing her of cheating. You might as well as her friends and not the husbands. Just be direct. Good luck, though. I hope you find something worthwhile. Oh, answer. Back then, if I knew she was pregnant with someone else's child, I would not have married her, so no co-parenting would have been required by me. Redditor 2. Why did you stay married to her for so long? I read the original post and what you went through is so horrible. She will get her karma, though. Redditor follow-up. In a perfect world, we hope that karma is a bish and gets her back. But, unfortunately, I can tell you about too many examples where people have gone wrong and have done terrible things to other people and it simply does not come back. They get away with it. So it's important that he follows through and let her suffer the consequences of her actions. It's not too late. Redditor 3. Whatever you do, please seek counseling for you and your kids. The damage she has caused is life-changing. I'm so sorry, man. Oh, answer. I am seeking counseling for myself now. My kids are 40. That will be up to them.
Introducing your champion.